Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical, and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome back to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and my lovely co-hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Daphne Lynn. How are you today?
I am doing really good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah. You said that you've got like a few questions you kind of like wanted to maybe touch base on today, and maybe we can get some answers to, or maybe try to find some answers to.
We of course, for the listeners that know out there, we get some of our questions and stuff from Facebook groups or our review clips from the NDERF site, but we gathered some questions from the Facebook groups that we're a part of, people asking questions to the NDEers about specific things. So we have a few questions collected that we are going to elaborate on.
Okie dokie then. Well, why don't we just, if you want, go ahead and jump into it and let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah. Now, some of these we have throughout our through our episodes. Really, we've touched on some of these questions, so some of this may be familiar to some of you that have been listening. If not, and you're listening for the first time, then you're going to get some clarity on some things. One of the questions is, do you believe in an afterlife for animals and plants? What is your take on that, Mr. Ashton?
Animals and plants. That's a good question. It's definitely a good question for thought. Definitely get you thinking. I would say without any hesitation within my spirit, my first response, yes, absolutely. First response, absolutely animals without question. And the second thing about the plants, I don't know. But to throw in there as a disclaimer, why not? If all things are alive, you know.
Right. Everything is life, and we hear it so often in the...
But I don't know how that ties in like with the soul aspect of it, you know. But we hear NDEs of the trees having feelings, trees having love, trees, you know, just really connecting with you when you came up and just give them a hug and all. So I don't know. I think it's a really good question. Right. What about you? Definitely animals, I feel comfortable saying. I would definitely say yes, animals for sure. Right. Especially pets, but all animals.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, we hear from so many of the NDEers that everything is connected. Everything is energy. Everything is alive. Everything is connected through that source energy.
Yeah, that many call God.
That many call God, yeah.
That way people know what we're talking about.
So I would have to say, just from our experiences, like you just said, the trees, you know, experiencing the joy of someone, you know, reaching out and touching them, taking care of them. I would feel safe saying that, yeah, I think that it does, because I've heard of NDEers talking about in the spiritual side of in the next realm, the plants and trees and animals all singing and dancing, and so life continuing even for them. So I feel safe to say, yeah, of course. And with animals, most definitely they do live on, because you hear too many of the accounts where their loved pets greet them and are in their NDE. So yes, to the pets, for sure.
Good answer. Well, let's take it a little bit farther before we go to our next question. Let's take it on a level here on this realm. Now, we do know there are devices out there. One that comes to mind is the MIDI Sprout.
Yes.
If you get a chance, look into it. It's called the MIDI sprout, but it's a little device that you can take and clip onto like plants and trees and things like that. And the way the thing is set up is they have, since everything has a vibration, okay, so do plants and trees. They do have their own energy, their own life force, per se, that those frequencies that these plants are putting out, what they've done, they've taken a MIDI converter and had associated, because each note in the musical scale has a certain vibration, okay?
Right.
So they just kind of design it, put it together where you can hook it up to a plant and it vibrates and it makes the most beautiful music that you have ever heard of in your life.
Yes, I have seen
If you ever get a chance, please listen to this.
all over YouTube. I mean, you can type it in, the MIDI sprout device with a rose, or even a cannabis plant, marijuana. There are trees and just the different life form in the plant kingdom that they have attached this device to, and it is recorded for you to listen to on YouTube.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It is.
In fact, I'm actually kind of looking into this myself as a little side project, but there are other artists out there as well, and musicians who are recording these
Yes.
plants and their music and then going back and playing their instruments with it, like a guitar on top of it or something else along.
A collaboration.
It's a collaboration between man and plants. So it's a beautiful thing. So if you get a
It
chance,
is.
look into that. So with that thought in mind, if these plants and flowers and trees and all these things, okay, are communicating with us, although we don't know it, we should, but we don't, on this level in the way that they are, and they're putting out these vibrations and singing and putting out their own music and their own means of communication that on levels that we can't comprehend.
Exactly.
Then as far as going to heaven, I mean, or transitioning, I don't know, because like some trees die here in this realm, but do they, or do they transition? I don't know.
we that is something better left
That's a
for
good
the
question,
guides.
though.
And that's something that you can.
And some things aren't made to be answered, but these are just, we're just throwing stuff out that we really don't know in the truest sense, really.
Right. Well, we have to really stop for a second, and we look out there and we see a tree as it's growing, it's alive, but there's nothing to it. But that's our ego, our limited perception of life around us, the energy around us. We are all connected. So we just have to take a step back and say, that's a good question. It is possible. It is very well possible for that to be a yes.
Yeah. And you don't want to be seeing life through the ego, because it's a very narrow filter.
We are very limited here, yes.
When you look at life through the ego.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next question, or another question, would be, in your NDED, did you remember family or events you left behind on Earth, not including life review?
I can't answer that because I've never really had an NDE, so.
Right, well, okay, so this is
No,
for
I
those
can maybe
that
share.
did have.
Maybe I can share stuff. We can share stuff, maybe like from stuff we've
From
heard
our-
or read or interviewed. I mean, can we do
Exactly,
something like
yeah.
that? Do you want to try that? Then read the question again, because
Okay.
I thought it addressed an NDEers.
It is addressed to NDEers, yes,
Okay.
because this is from the NDE face group sites.
Gotcha.
So this is a person asking the experiencers, did they remember their family or events that they left behind on Earth? And I can say I have 2 or 3 events that pop up in my mind just from reviews that I've listened to, but I'm going to let you go ahead and answer it since I asked the question.
What really comes to mind is maybe the accounts of remembering family that they have to go back to maybe to take care of, to get back to, or
Yeah, that's
didn't
what
want to
I
leave
thought of too.
behind. Maybe something like that kind of comes to mind, but
It does.
I don't know, because like I said, I haven't had an NDE, but from these episodes that we've kind of been going over, we study a lot of them. So, but there is that that common thread of that.
Yeah, there's a few of them that come to my mind, just in listening to the clips. There's the one guy, he was given a choice to stay or go back, and he kept saying, no, I'm not ready yet. I have family I have to be with and take care of. And so, yes, I would say that they do remember to an extent, the loved ones they have here on this side of the veil. And so they choose to come back because of that.
I got one for you. It kind of goes with this, but it kind of goes back to the one with the pets. Before I get too far ahead of myself, you just triggered it off. I read an account earlier.
Okay.
I thought it was cute. The guy has NDE. On the other side was the mama, I think boxer dog that he had just recently lost.
Oh.
And he was taking care of the puppy or a couple of the puppies. And he saw her, and the dog told him, no, you got to go back to go take care of the puppy.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
I just thought that was
experience.
cool. Yeah, because we do hear accounts of the dogs, and pets and animals talking in that realm. So
Yeah, and that is actually ties in with our previous question about life for plants and animals.
Plants and animals,
it
that's
ties
what I was
in
kind of linking it
beautifully.
to before I forgot. But you just triggered that, So I
Yeah.
didn't remember it earlier. I would have, thrown that in there. But
That is pretty cool.
just something to think
know
about.
those, and that's the beauty in all these experiences. There's something to learn and take away from all of them. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over throughout this podcast, but it is so true. It is so true. Okay, so here's one that is very interesting, and apparently they're unaware, so that's why they asked this question. I can't get my thought around living forever in some spiritual realm. Trillions of years doing what? I want there to be an afterlife, but what's there to do for all eternity?
Ooh, everything in that just screams ego,
Limited
flesh.
perception.
Yeah, you're just not seeing that from a spiritual perspective. You had to understand spiritual and the world of the spiritual realms and dimensions and other
Exactly,
constructs and
yeah.
realms and life
The
going on
universes
forever.
and different
There's-
realities
you
that,
have no
that
clue what
we are
goes
unaware
on.
of. Yeah, we are unaware of that on this side of the veil.
Yeah.
But the experiencers, the stories that we've listened to and watched and read, they are all saying there's different realities and universes, and it's just so much out there beyond our own limited perception to do.
Right.
There's much to do.
Like I said, to go with that, it's the reason why I say ego. It's a human thought. You're thinking of you're looking at how life is here, and how really tough times are here, and that you can only do so much here on the earth, and we are constrained by these bodies and very limited to a lot that we can do, and you're only going to live so long, and you can only go so far. And I get that. I can understand, what 1,000 or 10,000 or a trillion years, or just endless. You can't even put a number on how long you're going to live, because if you are source is. Source always has. That's why I
Right.
can say I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. It is source. It is all. It emanates all things. Trees, humans, pets, planets, stars, sun,
All creation.
moon, all creation.
Seen and unseen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's amazing because, there's so much out there that is unseen to us. We like I said, we have very limited perception, and it's so hard for me to wrap my brain around everything existing at the same time, that life is still going on in a different realm, a different reality, all at the same time. Everything and everybody that's ever lived is existing together at the same time, because time doesn't exist on the other side.
Let me give you a simple example for those of you out there listening, okay? Is it not common, an everyday thing, thousands of times a day for most of us, but for a lot of us? Can you not be here in this world in your everyday life, say like sitting in your, in your home or at your desk or in your car or whatever? And can your mind not be in a whole different world, a whole different dimension? I mean, can it not? So you can be two places at once right there. Of course, you got to be careful when you're driving, but you know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
You can be here in the world, but mentally, spiritually, your mind can be on something else, regardless of what that is. Your mind could be thinking about something at work or the kids or what you got to do when you get home, or, what are you going to do today? Or what did you do today? Or what you going to do tonight? I mean, there's so many things that's going on. So,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well put, well put. Okay, so moving on to the next question.
okay.
And I have one person that just pops in my brain when I'm going to read this question to you. Let me know if it's of the same person you're thinking of. If you do come back to this place, Earth, will you have any recollections of who you were before? Now, I'm thinking right off the hand, Darius J. Wright with the astral travel and everything he's seen and done and knows.
Yeah. That's a good question. You can probably link this kind of more into the realms of reincarnation. It's kind of like what it seems like it's kind of leaning towards. And that even involves a lot of different perceptions. Now, your basic karmic will reincarnation that many believe in, that however they differ from culture to even to religions, is the good that you do in this life will carry over, and that the bad that you do will carry over. But if you do not obtain a certain level of spirituality in this realm, and due to the things you might have done or just not growing spiritually or whatever, that you have to go and be reincarnated and come back and try life again, to the point that you have to fix that. You could have did something from a karmic expression that's supposed to come back, and you have to work out that karma or something like that. But that even differs between a lot of people. Now, one of the things I've lately discovered, remembering a past life is one thing, but my point is that the karmic will.
Right.
Is that part of it, or just because you remember a past life that you remember that? Because from what I understand, all souls can, keep reliving different types of lives.
Yes.
But going into that next life, is it because of a karmic experience, because to pay back what you did, or was it, just to come back to experience life? That's, I think, where the actual difference is on these concepts, if that makes any sense to you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Good
So what
answer.
else you got?
Good answer. Okay. This one is leaning more toward you. Do you think people that hurt you in your life will feel remorse and sorry when they have their life review? Everybody has to go through the life review.
They have to, and
So-
will they have remorse? Absolutely, without question. But the challenge is a matter of when. From what I'm understanding, some people have instant remorse. Some, they may not be as remorseful, so it may take a little bit longer. But I don't really know. I'm not saying that is what is happening.
Right.
But there's definitely a direct link to that. But the bottom line is, why wouldn't they be? I mean, you have to be. You can't get around the remorse that you're going to have to experience in the afterlife for the pain that you've caused others in this life. You're going to have to feel their pain, and that's going to be a form of remorse. You will. It's the ultimate balancing in your psyche, your
Ultimate
energy, your
justice.
spirit. It's ultimate justice to feel what others felt.
Exactly.
There's no condemnation. You're not getting tortured, thrown in hell to be burned and cursed forever. There's no judgment. You're not judged.
You judge yourself.
Yeah, you judge yourself. You have to go through what these people went through that you've affected, either good and bad, throughout your life. Mm-hmm. And that's the ultimate heaven and hell.
Exactly.
And
The
to
state
me,
of
it
mind.
makes the most sense and resonates in perfect harmony with a loving creator or loving source.
Most definitely. Well said. Okay, so the next question says, I have been destroyed by anxiety and depression for several years. Did I choose this health problem before I came into this world, or is it something else? And if I've chosen it, what's the point of choosing something so bad for living? And I know several friends and family members that struggle with depression and anxiety. Some have the anxiety, some have the depression. Do you think it was something they chose, or And what's the point of choosing something so bad for living?
I have no clue.
You have to know.
Did they choose this? I have no clue. But I do know that
Pre-planned lives.
that would tie in more like maybe the soul contract, the pre-plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, if it links in with that, that would be part of that. I would guess.
Yeah,
like I said, I really don't know, just to be honest. But that's what it reminds me of. It leans more towards, you made the plan. So the question is, from what I'm understanding, is why do people, if people have to suffer and go through these things, well, it's to grow. Suffering is the ultimate way to grow. You can't grow through pleasure. Okay?
You have to have the both.
Pleasure is the reaping. Okay, pain is the sowing. Okay, in order for you to grow as a human, you have to sow pain. Okay. However, when you sow pain, you also reap pleasure. It's that heaven and hell concept, for lack of words.
Right. And I think of the soul contracts, the pre-planned lives,
That's what comes to mind, yeah.
We can't say what lesson that somebody's wanting to learn and grow from if they choose this, because that's in their contract,
they're the
for
only ones
us.
that can really, truly answer that.
Exactly.
Well said. That's right.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah. That's why I didn't feel bad to say, I really don't know.
I've went through times in my life where I was depressed, but it was never anything that just, nearly hospitalized me or anything like that. I've always been a pretty positive, outgoing person, but I have dealt with traumatic times in my life, but it was something to help me grow. When looking back now, I'm like, oh, wow, look at what I've been through. Look how much I've grown and the strong person that I have become because of what I've been through. And that's what we have to do. We have to really look at the lessons in everything. So.
Yeah, definitely get you thinking for sure.
Okay, so this one, we had an episode on it recently about the different families. So the question is this, or statement leading into the question. I have been reading posts about reincarnation, coming back to Earth as someone else with a new family, etc. The thought of this makes me so heartsick since I love my kids and family so much. Will I be with my family, my dog, my dad, my kids? What's next? Do we have to come back to Earth? I'm so confused and anxious.
Wow, that's a deep question.
That is a deep question.
That is a very deep question.
And we recently had an episode with just this so-called account happening that could answer this question.
Would you like to maybe start off on that and comment on that, and we'll see where we go with it?
Oh, sure. I'll take it. The account was, she was seeing her lives lived through her grandmother, her mother, her aunt, her cousin, and many of her cousins. And that throughout each of these lifetimes, they were all intertwined. So it's like you get the same family, but it's just different roles that each of the personalities and lives plays. It's not just you have the same, you're the mother, you're the daughter in every single one,
Those usually, you have to understand that those roles are really here in this realm. Mother, father, sister, brother, but the essence of what makes that person who they are on the other side, but they're not just limited to that little bitty essence. They're
right.
They're so much more and so much bigger.
Right, and that's how they knew each other, is through that essence. She knew that she had been these other characters in her other past lives, and that they were all entwined together as the family unit.
Right. So you know on the other side that those are your children, or those are your mother and your father, and but they can still go ahead and play the other role in another scenario on another dimension. But
exactly.
in this dimension that you understand them from, or that the relationship that you had is the relationship that brought you that love and that joy. So that's how you'll be able to associate with them on that level.
Right.
But you also could be associating on other things on whole levels as well. So I really don't know. That's a really deep subject and a really good question, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think it is interesting, even the dogs. I mean, I've heard that the pets come back through as another pet in other lifetimes.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So there's so much that we are limited to knowing on this side of the realm. When you cross over and you've had these NDEs, you get replugged back into source, and you know these things. You know the hows, the whens, the whys, and the whats all at once.
Yeah.
So. And
what makes you is that you're not a mother or father or brother or sister or anything like that.
You're the
That's
essence.
The essence, correct. And that essence can take any form that it wants. It can incarnate as a woman if it wants to. And that same essence that is you, okay, not the body, but the essence that makes you who you are, your essence, you can incarnate as a male. You can come back as any nationality, any background, culture, or anything like that. Yeah, that's from what I understand. And there's even some religions and cultures teach you can come back as animals. That I personally don't. But I don't know. So I can't say. I haven't really gotten to the depth of that. But who knows?
With you saying that, you made me think of another episode we recently done where the guy said he remembered his past lives. And he remembered being eaten by something. He remembered being 1,000 insects, and we just can't put a cap on it and box around these things and say this is what it is.
Right? Yeah. Just say I don't know.
That's what we do.
That's
on
my
this
loophole.
side.
So if you guys hear me say I don't know, it's truthful. I'd rather say I don't know just to be honest than I would act like I know something that I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Well, we have our experiences that we've listened to. We've never physically experienced the NDEs.
No, but there are those out there who have.
But there are those that we've listened to, we've learned from,
and
that
really
we can answer from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can learn a lot from these people. It's always good to go to the source.
Exactly.
Go to the people who are actually experiencing these things firsthand, and you can definitely get some information from them. However, the overall meaning is really going to be catered to that individual.
Exactly. And that's the beauty in it. All these experiences come from a lesson that they have to learn.
Absolutely. So we got time for maybe one more question. Are there any more, or is that pretty much wrap it up? If not, then we can...
That's pretty much wrapping it up for this session, yeah.
Okay, well then let me just ask you a question that we get an extra one in.
Sure. What you got?
So what did you get out of today's? Any points, anything that really stuck out in your mind out of all those questions that we can maybe bring out to kind of cap things off to share with the listeners?
Oh, God, they're all such good questions. I want to say the recollections of who we were before we were born. Did we remember that? Because, I think about, I would love to be able to remember some of my past lives. But at the same time, I think back to some of the accounts that I've listened to and where people actually saw the deity of Jesus. And he said, well, why can't I remember my past lives and his experience? And Jesus answered him and said, because I don't want you to be any more stressed with what you have going on down there. So, we don't remember these things for a reason.
Yeah.
And some of us that do, it is to help others. It's to help the collective. Just so many good questions in this. That's just one that really popped up in my mind was our past lives.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
The things that make you go,
Yeah. Very good. With that thought in mind, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up because
it's time.
Yeah, it's time. Oh, no, I hate to go.
I know, me too. But we'll catch you next time.
Sounds good. We love you all so much. And may peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
For more information about the NDE World Podcast, visit NDE.world. That's NDE.world.